Welcome to Tail Slate Podcast, a place for independent filmmakers covering everything from on-set experiences to what's happening at the movies. I'm your host Fareed Kairon, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Toby.
Hey, cool cats and kittens, it's me, Toby.
Hello, fellow cool cat. That's a reference. And joining us today are our two guests. We have Daniel Nguyen. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Fareed.
Yes, an avid cineast and student of cinema. And coming back to our show from our episode where we interviewed some topographical gang members. It sounds like you're an actual gang or something. A YouTube channel. We have St Jon. How you doing there, St Jon?
Doing good, and we are definitely a gang. But
oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Just
they do crimes.
Yeah.
We film without permission.
Oh man, now that's a crime. Then I should be in like solitary confinement by now, man.
Last time you had that story where you guys lied to the police officer.
Stockton lied to the police officer.
Stockton, way to just rat him out.
It's true.
Man.
We were all like, "What are you doing?"
Wow, it's amazing. I think you just destroyed.
Man.
I just introduced their gang and you just destroyed it like a second later. Like this was meant to last.
They started turning on each other. Okay, this was not a. You know what? In more cheerful news, St Jon, you're our first ever recurring guest, so that's cool.
I'm glad that you liked me enough to bring me back.
Oh, we absolutely do. About 10 years from now, you're gonna get a gift basket that kind of commemorates this moment. It's probably gonna be made out of cardboard, and I don't think you could do much with it, but it'll happen.
And the fruit's gonna be like from 10 years ago, so I don't recommend eating.
Are you kidding me? You just gave me like 5 new sketch props.
Nice.
See that right there is a filmmaker. All right, so let's get right into it, guys. So as we've begun doing on our podcasts, we like to kind of go over just some of the new content that's out right now. Like it could be movies that we've just seen. It doesn't have to be movies that just came out. It could be just anything, and it could also be trailers or whatever. So I guess.
So guys, what did you see this week?
Yeah, I guess. Do you want to start us off, Daniel? Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I guess what I've been seeing recently is the 4 movies that I've seen, and I watched Top Gun for the first time, and you know how like there's a lot like Gone with the Wind. A lot of people say that Gone with the Wind's kind of dated. Top Gun, there's an element in there, and if you've seen Top Gun, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of dated, okay? And so that was pretty funny. And I watched Training Day, and I think like it's a perfect movie. And 2 other movies I see, like the 2 lesser known Terrence Malick's is To the Wonder and Knight of Cups, and I think those are. They're kind of underrated, and I've seen some of the stuff on the mutual watch list that we had. Like rewatch some stuff, which is where was that? Let me pull this up. Oh yeah, so Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Police Story, Hot Rod, Eraserhead, Megamind, and Lahain. Yeah.
For those who don't know. While we prepared for this episode, we were talking to Daniel, and he actually recommended that we each give each other 2 movies to watch that resemble our visual style or kind of our influences when we make films. So that's what he's referring to when he talks about our movies that we recommended to each other.
That's right. Also, can I just say that is a lot of movies, man. Kudos. First off, okay, well listen, Knight of Cups is not underrated. I think of all the movies you saw, I guess the one that stands out to me, there are a few, but the one that really stands out to me is Knight of Cups, because I saw that in theaters, man, in 2015. I remember seeing that in a movie theater in Paris, and it was packed. And first off, around like a quarter of that theater, there were people walking out. About a quarter of them had left, like I think an hour into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was tempted to tap out at some point as well. I think, but I slogged it out, man. I'm a Malick apologist. Like I'm a big Badlands, Days of Heaven, even like Thin Red Line and New World. Like his earlier kind of oeuvre. Let's say I'm very fond of. But I feel like post Tree of Life, Malick has kind of become. He's kind of become more personal, but at the expense of like foregoing narrative conventions almost too much. They're almost transient, like these ambient films. You know what I mean? That kind of amble along in a kind of stream of conscious way. I mean, I get what he's doing. I get it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with Knight of Cups, I think that movie genuinely was the only one. I mean, To the Wonder still had a bit of a backbone to it, you know, with like what was happening with Affleck and his like love life and all that. It was meant to kind of mirror Malik as well.
Yep.
But To the Wonder, not To the Wonder, sorry, Knight of Cups. They all feel like the same movie. Knight of Cups genuinely felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. That was my take on it. What'd you get out of that film, though? I wonder what your take is on Knight of Cups.
Well, I think it's like really reflective of Malik's time in Hollywood, or no, and like how he's bouncing. Well, been married 3 times, and I know that he's had different loves in his life, you know, and it's I know and I hate like referencing stuff like that's outside of the movie where like you gotta kind of look it up and know or whatever. But I've read it because like if it's not in the movie, then it really isn't like canon with the movie. But I know in Knight of Cups that he said, or like, it's supposed to be a loose adaptation of John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress, and and like I like the narration that it starts out with like you know, this is a story about a prince who was sent from the east to Egypt in the west, and he was fed poison or he was given a drink that made him fall asleep and made him forget who he was. And I think the movie is like reflective of that, you know. And if it's so,
it is.
Yeah,
it is. And that also that opening voiceover was over like the shot of the Earth or something, right? Like the first shot was literally in the cosmos, if I'm not mistaken, and then it goes into Hollywood or something. Like it has this grandiosity to it.
I think it starts out with him in the desert.
What's that?
I think it starts out with him in the desert, actually.
Oh, maybe. I think maybe it was the second or third shot or something. I have memories of like, oh, are we out like in space now? Okay, maybe that stood out to me more because it started in the desert. But yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Is like you kind of nailed it in that it's so. I do need to do a bit of homework, but I think if you're like a completist or like a diehard Malikian, let's say, or Malikian fan, I think that it kind of does its job. I don't know what I'm.
It's Malikers.
It's Malik. Yeah, isn't Malekith the main?
Malik.
Isn't Malekith the main villain in Thor 2? Anyway, that's world.
That's Malekith.
Malekith, right? Yeah. See, that's what I do. That's what I do, guys. I blend Thor: The Dark World with Terrence Malick's films. Like that's a gift, you know, to put them in the same sentence. Continuously. No.
That's what we're known for.
Indeed. No, but that's an interesting list, man. I mean, honestly, it's enough for like 5 episodes. You went through a lot. Let's talk. I mean, St Jon, what about you, dude? Like, what's happening at the movies for you?
All right, so they reopened some of the theaters in my area because it's like I'm in kind of like, you know, a not as populated place. So they're opening theaters and playing a bunch of like classic movies. And so two that I've seen from that were I just saw Jaws for the first time. I know, in 2020.
Oh.
And then
that's fantastic. It's my favorite.
It is very fantastic. And let's see, I saw The Goonies earlier, which I love. And also in theaters, I saw Saving Private Ryan too.
Okay, that's my favorite Spielberg, actually, Saving Private Ryan.
They made a sequel to Saving Private
Yeah, Saving
Ryan?
Private Ryan too. They that one's set in the Cold War. In the Korean War.
Nah, bro. No.
Losing Private Ryan.
We gotta save him again.
Guys, there was.
We're back, boys.
There is a sequel to Saving Private Ryan, guys. It's called Good Will Hunting. Like, get it right. I have to say.
The Martian.
The Martian. Man, that guy lived fucking Private Ryan lived a life, bro. What was he? He was a soldier, then he was a genius prodigy who worked in construction, and then he was an astronaut. This guy's done it all.
And then they wiped his memory, and he became Jason Bourne. So yeah.
That's right. What else is like? I'm thinking of more Matt Damon.
I really want to make a joke, but not spoil Interstellar. So.
You just did anyway.
Well, just by it.
What do you mean?
I mean, no, but it's okay. I actually don't think it's a spoiler. I mean, it's been 7 years, man. I think you can go there. The honest truth.
The moment Matt Damon appears in that film, you now know exactly how everything's going to play out.
Yeah.
Like, there is no surprise whatsoever.
Hey, I'm kind of saving Interstellar for the big screen, okay? I've been holding it off, so thanks for the earful, guys.
You haven't seen it yet.
I just okay. I won't.
I'm
we
sorry,
won't get into specifics, but I don't know if you guys remember the honest trailer to Interstellar. But there was it's the funniest thing ever. It was like when Matt Damon is rescued or whatever. Like he's in like it looks like tinfoil or something. He's in like a wrap, and he literally like it's like what you put a baked potato in. You know what I mean? When you're gonna serve it. And so the honest trailer is like when it comes to Matt Damon, it's like a baked potato, and that every time I think about that, it gets me. Man. It's it's so on point.
A baked potato.
Baked potato,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, anyway, all that Matt Damon segueing aside, man. Yeah, I actually think, to be honest, I know this is controversial, man, but first off, I'm the kind of guy who my favorite Spielberg is Saving Private Ryan. My second favorite Spielberg is Duel, you know? That's me. Like, I know the guy went on to make great movie, but Duel is my second favorite. Jaws is actually, I'm not the biggest fan of Jaws. Like, on the whole, I like it. It's good. But it's honestly kind of middle of the road for me. Like, it's one of those
I'm with
classic,
you there.
Yeah, like I know everyone has their like certain films that, you know, it's regarded with such esteem, and yet maybe you don't see something in it. I know, Toby, you have a film like that as well, which we've talked about. But like in my
We're not going to say it because I get yelled at.
right. Well, in the case of Jaws, to me, I think it's just a case of I don't think it quite spoke to me the way it has generally for everyone. I acknowledge its place in pop culture. I acknowledge John Williams' score kind of revolutionizing. I mean, the entire movie revolutionized. Okay, it killed New Hollywood in a way. Or was it? Yeah, it killed New Hollywood. Part of the Star Wars Jaws kind of combo effectively destroyed that era. But Heaven's Gate truly destroyed it, but it also gave birth to the blockbuster. You know, it gave birth to that whole thing. So
Wait, I thought
understand
it
its
ushered
place
in
movie
new
history.
Hollywood, didn't it?
Well, actually, that's why I was hoping I was getting my facts right. I see, because I think New Hollywood refers to the 70s as a decade as a whole. You know what I mean? Like, the whole movie Bratz thing.
I know.
And
Yep. Movie brats. Yep.
Yeah, and I believe that the Lucas Spielberg kind of Batman Robin thing they had going on. I guess Lucas is Robin. They effectively were partly. I don't want to put this on them like it was a bad thing. They didn't know they were doing this, but effectively it kind of fizzled out that era of sort of crazy sort of 70s indie cinema, you know, where we got everything under the sun. But then in the 90s it kind of came back. I don't want to give a film history lesson, but in the 90s with Generation X we kind of started to see it again, come back again. But
Okay, test
anyhow,
next
man,
Wednesday.
What's up?
Test next Wednesday for Reed.
Yeah, guys, class dismissed, man. Next Wednesday, just pop in, guys. You know, I teach all day. I got nothing else to do. So.
Hope there's not a pop quiz tomorrow.
I'm glad that two other people here are to learn this time.
Nah, man. Actually, you know what, Toby? What have you seen lately, bro? Let's go this to you. What's new?
Oh. Well, I saw Eraserhead for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
It was. Yeah, I should probably say, you know, I think we've kept the audience in the dark for a while. Maybe we should say, like, which were our two films which we recommended to each other and stuff. Before I move on.
Well, okay, I guess I'll start because you did mention mine. So for me, it was David Lynch's Eraserhead, as Toby just seen, and The Piano Teacher by Mikhail Haneke. Those were my two, and as a wannabe filmmaker and as someone who wants to do all that stuff, those are the two movies that aesthetically spoke to me the most.
For me, I had. Oh, never mind. Go.
No.
Yes, Daniel, you can go. You're a guest,
right.
Daniel. You don't mind him, okay? It's all right.
Yeah.
He can't hurt
All
you.
right, thanks, Toby. But I suggested Matthew Kasavitz's Lahain. I think it's probably his best movie, and
It is his best movie.
and I did Megamind. Yeah, I suggested Megamind only
Yeah.
because I know that your favorite movie is Taxi Driver, and I will not relent in saying that Megamind should double feature with Taxi Driver. I'm serious about that. I joke about a lot of things, but I'm dead serious about that.
No, dude, no.
I want to hear more about this.
No, dude. I said that to Toby when he told me about that. When he told me you love Taxi Driver, and then didn't I, Toby? I said that those two would be a great double bill. Like, I think Megamind and Taxi Driver are a great double feature. I'm not kidding. I agree with you.
Oh
If
my
that's what
gosh,
you're saying.
you're the second person in the
Yeah.
world who agrees with me. So
No,
yeah.
because they both are effective. No, because they're both kind of these stark deconstructions of society in a way. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
they both mess with themes of like ideologies, morality, identity. That's all there. We'll talk about that when we get there, man. We'll go there when we get
For
there.
sure.
Yeah. What about you? Who are we on? St Jon. What about you?
Yeah,
bro?
so Toby and I actually both suggested Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So we
Very
both
cool.
have great taste, and I also suggested Jackie Chan's Police Story, which is my favorite action movie of all
Yes.
time.
Oh well, rightly so. I love Police
Yes.
Story, man. Great pick. So those are, and Toby, last but not least for sure. Unless you did mention it and I forgot.
No, I didn't. As St Jon said, I said Scott Pilgrim versus the World for one of mine. I just really love that attention to detail and kind of just brings this fun, weird world to life where it's believable even though it's completely unrealistic. and you have a fantastic time with it. So, well, that like Edgar Wright, I think is my favorite director.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's my favorite director of all time.
Okay.
And the other one was Hot Rod, because you remember back in the final year where our final year directing professor made us break down an entire film,
Yeah.
shot by
Oh,
shot.
the step out line, bro. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, he said beforehand that you will end up hating the film, so just choose it, like, whichever.
Yeah.
And,
that was bullshit though, because I didn't hate my film at all. I mean, yeah.
And I think the thing is, like, you will hate that film if you do it because of its time, or because, you think you're going to get a better grade for that. But if you choose a film that you want to make movies like, then it actually helps you out so much. You're like actually learning, okay, how did they make this film? How did they get this reaction that I like so much?
Right.
And Hot Rod is that for me. I know lots of people don't consider it that great of a film, but for me, I really like it. I really like Hot Rod, and I want to make movies like
Both
that.
those films you mentioned, Toby, they've kind of achieved the kind of cult status over the years. You know what I mean? They're very special in the sense that they've attracted audiences later on down the line. You know, kind of like Lebowski or something, where people caught on. So no, those are great picks. Finally, it's kind of concerning that you said, like, you know, choose a film for that exercise, like choose a film that you want to make. You know, and at the time I chose the Neon Demon, and if you've seen the Neon Demon, that's not a movie you want to live with for too long. But hey, you know. You gotta.
Okay.
What's life without risk?
I saw the first part of Neon Demon, and I was like, okay, the film isn't really getting me. And then I stopped, and then someone told me what happens at the end. How? What?
It's great. That's the coolest thing about it, man.
I don't understand. Like, I'm scared to now finish the film, because I'm like, but the first part was so... just nothing really happened for me, and then you're telling me what happened? Where did we take these left turns?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of that film. It's a lot like Italian giallo kind of horror. Also, like, if you've seen like any of Nicholas Winding Refn's films post Drive, like he goes into some pretty weird places. So I recommend seeing it. The Neon Demons. Just see it to have a dialogue. You'll have like a 2-hour debate about that film. It's good stuff.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I might just watch it just to take you up on that.
Oh, sweet, man, for sure. That'd be great. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Anyway, Toby, you sorry, man. What you were saying?
Anyways, I was saying that for the films that I'd seen this week, I saw Eraserhead, because that's what you recommend, Fareed, that film that really influenced your work. And I 100% can see that. Like, while I was watching the film, I was like, yeah, no, this is very much Fareed's style. Like, you've made many short films which are akin to this. Not really in the gory body horror monster type thing that they play with Eraserhead.
Yeah.
But more kind of just kind of the dialogue specifically really stood out to me, and I was like, yeah, it's very sparingly minimalistic. I think I can remember most everything that was said in that film, because they speak so sparingly that when they do, it actually jumps at it, kind of scares you. It's like he's talking. I didn't know that they could talk.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I appreciate you saying that you drew that comparison. I agree to some extent that I think it's, first off, just the power of David Lynch is that his absurdity is always kind of grounded in, like, the characters in Eraserhead are doing stuff that's relatively normal when you think about it. Like, if you've seen Eraserhead, I mean, it's about a guy who basically has a girlfriend, and they have a baby, but the baby is not quite what he thought it was. It's very, very creepy and surreal, but basically he has a fear of parenthood about this baby. And so most of the scenes in Eraserhead are pretty normal on paper. Like, he goes to meet the girlfriend's parents. He, takes care of the child, and when the child is ill. These are things, when I say them, where it's pretty benign. But then if you kind of see how Lynch executes it, I think the key to Lynch is grounding his absurdity in relatable scenarios. And that's something I've drawn from a lot, because I don't think there's a film I could make which doesn't have something heightened to it in some respects, just because it lends to kind of a stylization that I like. Also, I think it must be said, like, I think the biggest takeaway to Eraserhead, along with dialogue, is honestly just what he did with atmosphere, what he does with aesthetic and sound. I mean, like I can't think of a better film. I mean, first off, let it be known that Eraserhead was Stanley Kubrick's favorite film, you know, which says something. It's one of those films where it's just a marvel of like a sensory kind of marvel. You know what I mean? I think you could have like 3 years worth of film school within just like, you know, that one film, because it just experiments so much with the form.
Oh, you are sick.
Yeah, that's the one. That's a great line.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
a good one.
it's so it makes so perfectly with the horrifying imagery, and then it's like, oh, you are sick.
Yeah. Oh, you are
I will
sick.
say, like,
Yeah.
the only movie that, like, the two most uncomfortable movies that I've ever seen would be Eraserhead and Cats 2019. they both definitely have that body horror going on.
Oh yeah. Body horror. Oh my god. Oh my god.
We have this friend who I'm actually going to be seeing this Thursday, and Fareed, we had this plan where we were gonna have a couple drinks, come over to my place. We'd show, like, on the projector that I have in my backyard, like, we were gonna show Taxi Driver, but in specific moments in Taxi Driver, the Cats film would be overlaid or just kind of dissolved in, where you couldn't really see it. And sometimes we'd switch out the music with the Cats music.
Yeah.
And we wanted to see if our friend would, like, start picking up and realize what we were doing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if maybe I can do that this Thursday.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be a trip.
Diabolical plan.
Yeah.
Diabolical plan. Yeah. No, it's an act of pure evil that we both devised. Toby, please move forward with it. You know, the world needs. I mean,
I will.
bearing in mind that this friend might be very, like, intoxicated, you might have to make him drunk or something for it to really take effect. But I think I think it'll
Okay,
work.
now it gets more and more evil. It's like, to make this plan work, we need to get him drunk.
Man, I mean, honestly, man, if you're gonna do something that schemy, like, go all the way, man. You gotta press that. You just gotta, like, no holds barred.
And then you lock him
bro.
in the basement.
Yeah. And then listen,
Yeah.
listen, Toby, the cops will come, so you just gotta make sure you lay low for a few days, okay? Just find a little home, a little shelter, you know, underground somewhere. You'll probably be wanted, so just...
You guys remember that small conversation we had before we started recording? Like, be careful what you say on the air, because like, it could be taken out of context and make you look bad in the future. I think this is one of those moments.
Toby...
Or at least we're getting very close to it.
Toby, you're not understanding me. You're a wanted serial killer. This is not a healthy outlet for you. You gotta lay low.
The hell I am. Don't say that.
Don't out him.
Afterwards, you have to register that movie as a weapon.
Speaking of chasing someone down for a crime that they probably didn't commit, I also saw After Hours.
Oh my gosh!
Because Daniel,
What a segue. What a segue. Anyway, yes?
Wow.
Yeah,
I
thank
can't
you.
believe it. That's amazing. What'd you think?
I found it so entertaining. I really loved it. You recommended it to me, Daniel, because you said it was a lot like the short film I'd made in my last year at film school. And I definitely get that with the nightlife, the atmosphere, and also, like, the use of perspective. I played with that in the film and stuff. That being said, I hadn't seen After Hours before making the film. And also that it keeps getting worse and worse, and kind of as the night goes on, it feels like it weighs on you more. I definitely get that. I'm really glad that I didn't end up copying it, because back in high school I made this short film about a kid who gets the power to read minds, and then I saw this movie called Jumper.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And then I was like, gosh darn it, they stole my idea. It's basically the same film.
Hey man, look, when you're talking high school short films, man, all you do is rip off. Like, if you're Jumper, bro, I did a $5 remake of The Dark Knight Rises in high school. You're fine.
Yeah, but I hadn't seen the film before. I felt cheated. I was like, oh man, Hollywood stole my big idea. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No, also, that high school film I made, not good.
No.
I'm glad I made it, but it's not good.
No,
You know what?
Yeah.
You realize what it was like to be a working screenwriter in high school. Like you got prepared for that. You know, you're mentally ready for the future. It's a good thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's the one good thing.
Do you think there was ever, like, a high school student who, like, watched Eraserhead and was like, "Oh, dang it, he stole my idea."
Oh,
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I was just about to, I was one day away from making that film. Jeez,
yeah.
never
And
mind.
and it's like his script was literally the exact same as Eraserhead. Like it was like to a T. It's just like, wait, that's what they did. Oh god damn it, David.
David Lynch is stealing from my brain.
Yeah, go do your Twin Peaks shit somewhere else, bro. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess that comes down to me then. I haven't told you guys what I've seen. Sorry, that was more ominous than I intended. So I think the first thing. This is not even a film, but I have to talk about it. Did you guys watch that little sneak peek to the Snyder Cut that just came out?
No, I
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just came out. It was a little HBO Max preview of Zack Snyder's Justice League, so I saw that. And I'm really excited to see that film. I'm an apologist for Zack Snyder. I think he's a tremendous director, and I really want to see
Same.
what he did with that film. Yeah, so that's one.
I really-
and I saw.
So, sorry, I was just gonna say I really
up?
hope they keep Henry Cavill's mustache in for it.
I'm sorry to tell you this, bro, but actually, I think Snyder wrapped his scenes before the mustache gate thing showed up.
No.
It's like,
Then CGI the mustache onto it.
yeah, man. But here's the thing: Zack Snyder's known for great visual style, so maybe he can get it. He could do it right, like what Joss Whedon failed at, he could succeed in. Like I'm gonna rotoscope a mustache back onto
Give
his
him a
face.
Fu Manchu.
It's like
You wouldn't. You know what?
exactly.
You know what'd be fantastic? If at some point in the post-production he just color grades the shadow or something to make it look like he has the shadow of a mustache. Just like a little wink and nod to the audience.
bro, he might as well make a Eraserhead, bro. What is that? But okay.
I don't give Superman a mustache. That's all.
Let's
I'm
get that
saying.
trending.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Forget release
Yeah,
the Snyder
Zack-
Cut.
Zack-
Give Superman.
Exactly. That's history, bro.
How excited are you for this, Fareed?
For what? The Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
Very tremendously. I mean, look, I saw that little teaser, right? And immediately the color palette, the kind of texture, the 35 millimeter, because Snyder shot 35, it's all there. You see that because the thing is, I'm really an dark side, like, and I'm a bit of a DC nut, man. I grew up on DC. I was a DC kid. It's probably why I was so emo all the time. But anyway, so for me, that's there. But more than that, man, to kind of turn this on a filmmaking aspect, I got one more film I want to discuss before. I'll just say this. Zack Snyder is one of those few directors, along with a James Gunn and to some extent a Christopher Nolan, but he's kind of transcended that in a way now, who they're like actual auteurs in my opinion, like real auteur filmmakers.
For sure.
Who are able to distinguish themselves within that kind of studio system. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think out of all of the directors that I can think of, I think Snyder's the only one who really swings for the fences when he makes a film. Like, I feel like every time I see a Zack Snyder movie, it's like he's just put his entire career on the line. I mean, who has the balls to adapt 300 so accurately to that incredibly gruesome and weird book? And then to adapt Watchmen, which is the most iconic graphic novel, that faithfully. And then literally take on Batman after Christopher Nolan just made him like the apex of comic book characters. Like that takes courage, and so I really respect the man and for what he's done, and so and I love his work. So for me, it's like I think there's justice, no pun intended, that he gets to make his film. So I'm very happy about. Are you excited for the Snyder Cut, Daniel? Turn this to you.
Well, here let me ask you something else right before I answer that. But do you think he's able to find like the Snyder Cut in like the stuff that he's already got? Because I think like he's not doing any reshoots, right? He's just working with what he's got.
I think it's not exactly. He is gonna work with what he's got, and what he's got is like a 4-hour cut, which is crazy. He made like the Irishman of superhero movies. What the hell? Anyway, so, but also
It's the Justice League. You should get that.
it's like you're watching the Snyder Cut, and then like Al Pacino shows up. You dumb motherfuckers! He was like, what's this doing here? It's like De Niro's talking to Batman, like it is what it is, and Batman's like, what?
That's the crossover we need.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just made like Zack Snyder's Eraserhead and Zack Snyder's The Irishman. Make it happen. Zack
Superman,
Snyder.
Batman, Irishman.
The Irish Batman.
That's it's like
Yes.
it's like Joe Pesci. She's like, there's another man in town, and he's who is he? It's like Batman.
Batman
I'm sorry.
versus
Where
Irishman,
is
Dawn
this
of
going?
Justice.
That's the one. That's the one we need.
Save Hoffa.
Save Hoffa.
Why did you say that name? Oh my god. Oh, that's too good. Oh, okay, I need to gather myself.
Yeah.
Daniel, to your question.
Yeah.
No, he is going to do a little bit more photography, a little bit more shooting. A few things he needs to clear up. Like he's gonna shoot the rest of there's a Martian Manhunter thing going on that they were gonna reveal, and he didn't get to finish that. And I think he's gonna reshoot a couple of the scenes that, because if you know how turbulent that production was, Jeff Johns, who was the head honcho of DC, he basically wouldn't even use the script pages that Snyder and Chris Terrio, his co-writer, used for the original script, like because of the performance of BVS, and you know they were like course correcting. So on the shoot, literally the producer would come up, like Jeff Johns would go to Snyder like, no, you're not using that, you're using this, and he himself would rewrite scenes. So I think Snyder wants to go back and basically redo that stuff in his vision. So it'll be a bit of that. That's my answer.
That's a shame, because I really respect Jeff Johns for what he did, like in Rebirth with the comics. Like there'd be so many times where the comics would be so overcomplicated, and then Jeff Johns would do Flash Rebirth or Green Lantern Rebirth, or this most recent like complete rebirth of the DC universe a couple years back. And he really knows what to do about these characters and how to handle them carefully. And that's a bit of a shame that he's doing that for the movies then.
But
because it's like,
that's the thing, is Jeff Johns is not a liked person in Hollywood right now. Jeff Johns is really disliked. Like David Ayer, who made Suicide Squad, Ray Fisher. Like this is all about like studio gossip stuff. But the word was out that basically Jeff Johns kind of sabotaged a bunch of these films. Like the Suicide Squad we got was not the film that was meant to come out, for example.
I mean, the comic book community really loves him and respects him for what he did. But movie-wise, it seems that track record is completely different.
Yeah, I mean, hey, but what you gonna do? Like if I decided to become like an astronaut, I don't think that would work out, you know. So it's like or maybe it would. I don't know. I could do anything if I set my mind to it.
You could work on it.
I believe in myself. Yeah.
I mean, like if you genuinely wanted to become an astronaut and you start working on it, that's fine. But if you suddenly became the chief of NASA after being a film student and maybe making some fantastic films about space, it's not going to work that way.
I know, man. Ron Howard didn't take us to the moon, put it that way. So,
are you sure?
I guess, that...
What?
Actually, you never... I think Stanley Kubrick took us to the moon.
Maybe we're already there, guys.
Oh, who knows?
So when they went to the moon, they went to Earth.
Yeah. Guys, let's just watch Interstellar to feel better about this. So, Daniel, are you excited for the Snyder Cut then? I think we're going to answer that.
I mean, I think I'm excited to see what it is whenever it comes out, but I don't know if it's going to set like a good precedent. Like the last time something like this kind of happened was like the special editions of the original trilogy for Star Wars, you know? And
right.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people hated it. I personally don't mind it. I think I'm a sucker for George Lucas saying like, you know, oh well, you know what, it really wasn't finished, and then I finished it, and then I just bought that. But you see it. I think that opens like a door to like it's probably going to be signed into like contracts and whatever, like you know, like how do you make up for the money that you lost for this movie? You just like re-release like a different cut or whatever, you know. And so they're giving it, I think they're giving it more weight than it is. Like really, the Snyder Cut is the director's cut, you know. Like it's like movies have director's cuts all the time. Yeah, well, not all the time, like specific movies. Like,
it's probably going to look like a completely different film.
That's the thing.
How much they cut, how much they reshot, and how they completely changed most of the entire film.
It's one of those. So I think you're right, Daniel. What I'll add to what you said was, however, is unlike a Ridley Scott who keeps tinkering with Blade Runner, and he also was kind of robbed by the studio. The thing is, it's to the extent of which there was kind of the robbing. Like in the case of Blade Runner, for example, the studio interfered with the ending and added a whole other, like a happier ending, and put that godforsaken voiceover into it, like if you know, which he didn't, and he didn't want that. But at the same time, it was still kind of Scott's footage, you know what I mean? It was still sort of, and in the case of this, what seems like what happened was, it was really like 90% Joss Whedon's movie. Literally, almost maybe 80% of Joss Whedon's movie. And they kind of took advantage, it seems like, of Snyder's tragic situation with his daughter's passing, and basically infiltrated the movie while he was off, kind of grieving. So I think this adds a kind of it adds a bit of layer where there needs to be a little bit of a little closure there, I think. So
maybe for the business, but no one was begging Ridley Scott to take out the voiceover. Like, this Snyder Cut came about really because of a meme. Everyone, like you see, release the Snyder Cut was kind of for real for a second, and then it just became a kind of a meme. And then I think Zack Snyder, like, I don't know, like, if he's genuine or not, but he's caving to the meme. That's what it looks like.
I don't know if it's caving more as he really wanted this to happen, because like the footage was out there, and like for a while people were saying like, no, there's no Snyder Cut. And then one day, I think it was Zack Snyder who was on, what was it? What's the
Vero. Yeah,
Vero. He said, yeah, it exists. And then people were like, what? And then like it started blowing up. And then I think Jason Momoa was like a really big advocate for this, because he's Aquaman. He was a big. He really wanted it to come out, and the more and more, and then I think because of the situation where COVID-19 happened, where you can't go out and shoot a bunch of other films, you have a bunch of this footage. So many people have wanted it for so long. You have this new streaming service, which you are going to need some content, which people are going to want to stream.
Exactly.
Everything kind of lined up to where it was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. It's only going to cost us what? How much was it for?
$80 million.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's not 30. Yeah, 20 to 30 was the figure they gave, but it was revealed that it's like somewhere near 80 to 90. It's big. It's a lot of money.
Just to recut the movie?
No, they've cut the movie. It's for not even that. It's for the VFX and for the
score
and all that, because it's crazy VFX. It is a $200 million film, so if it was.
It's likely that they bring in Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter. That's right.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I wish these kind of people were around when I was making my $5 Dark Knight Rises. Like, give me the money to finish that. Like, release the Chiron cut, man. I got like footage all over. Like, the first cut was 57 minutes. There was 6 minutes I had to trim. Let me put it back in.
You know how you're talking to when you're finally kind of having closure with like an ex or a girl or whatever, and you're you're on the path to just getting over her, and then like maybe she texts back, and then like you're back in it. I feel like this is what it is, because like he's already working on like the Dawn of the Dead sequel for Netflix, and so now and so now he's pulled back into this. I just you know what? And I think Zack Snyder wants to do it now, but I think what does Russell Buffalino say? Like, it is what it is. I think he had like the "it is what it is" attitude after like everyone hated it and it came out, and now they're pulled back in, and now he's just pulled back in. He's like, okay, you know what? I'll do it. That's like yeah.
You just went from Russell Buffalino to Michael Corleone. They pull me back in. I just had to point that out. You just made me think that. No, totally. Well, the other thing is, man, the theatrical cut, I think he kind of disowns. He doesn't. It's like the Alien 3 of his films. I think he kind of was like,
like they say, directed by Zack Snyder in that beginning of like the music video intro and stuff.
Music video
intro. Well, it's completely different from the rest of the film. That's all I'm going to call it.
It might as well say directed by P.V. Herman, man. I mean, no, it was not Zack Snyder. I do want to talk about the other film that I saw, and then we could discuss another thing I want to bring in. But I did see The Five Bloods, actually. Saw it a couple days ago. And... yeah, man. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Spike Lee. My first exposure to Spike Lee was Inside Man, actually, which was his bank heist film in 2006. Love that, but in no way does that imply that this is like a Renaissance man for race relations in cinema. It's just a Denzel Washington movie where he's stopping a bank heist. So you're just watching it. You're 10. You're like, this is what movies look like. And then, as I got older, I discovered Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever. If you guys have seen these movies, I mean, Spike Lee is what's up?
Could you keep talking about Spike Lee, but use the little kid voice you used earlier? Please.
Oh, nothing would make me happier, but it may give our viewers tinnitus. Anyway, so
no, please do it. Please do it.
All right. I don't have to lose. He made a, she hate me and she gotta have it and all these.
Okay, stop. That's it. Stop. That's it.
See, and I don't have the insurance to pay for that hearing loss. So, listen, I'll say this. Spike Lee he's been kind of hit or miss for me. There have been some films I love, some films that go a bit too far.
Mm-hmm.
This movie seems to continue what he did with Black Klansman, where it's really this is a return to form. Like he has completely, he is going through a late period kind of. Somewhat of a comeback, you know. I mean, after making the remake of Oldboy, anything is a comeback. So so this is definitely that. But that and then some, because he goes into age-old Spike Lee stuff like race relations and sort of discrimination, but he frames it within the Vietnam War, which is not something we've seen, especially for like the African American side of the conflict. You know, we never really saw a film that's about that. And he got to it. I think he did that for World War II too. Miracle at St. Anna, which is another film, which covered like black soldiers in that time. But this film really gets into that almost like mythological aspect of what those experiences were like for sort of black soldiers on the front lines of that. And he mixes it with his trademark sort of educational style where you're playing archival footage. He mixes it with his beautiful like gift for kind of you know, I guess I want to say conversations where people like he can do this thing where people talk about stuff that you don't really like. If a critic watched it, any other film, they'd criticize it. Like, I want to see a movie where people are, you know, not talking about stuff like Tarantinoing, basically. You know, I mean, he's the only one that kind of gets away with it. But Spike Lee does have a way of having two characters talk about, like, for example, politics, but it never feels like it's preachy. It's a very kind of fine ability and kind of a tightrope walk, but he pulls it off.
Yeah, that's where Spike Lee came out of. You know, like like two guys in the neighborhood talking, and the only guy who would win the conversation that would turn into an argument is the one that talks faster. You know, that's where Spike Lee came out of.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's pretty true. I mean, have you seen his other films, Daniel? I wonder
I've seen.
how much of Spike Lee,
I've seen
exposure to him.
I've seen Black Klansman. I've seen Do the Right Thing. I've seen Malcolm X, and I freaking love Malcolm X. And I think
Malcolm X.
Yeah,
I love it. I know we're on the same page.
And Malcolm X. If you this is a funny thing. If you look up a poster of Malcolm X, like where like the form of the gap between the top two prongs of the X comes down. Over Malcolm's forehead, or Denzel Washington's forehead, and he looks like the Airbender. So, yeah, but that's something else. But I will say, Malcolm X is, I think, it's my favorite gangster movie.
What?
Yeah, I know. Like, it's. I mean, I love Scorsese. I've seen all of his movies, well, like his narrative features, but yeah, I think I like Malcolm X more as a gangster movie than I like Goodfellas or The Irishman, you know, or Mean Streets or whatever.
I see what you mean. I mean, I see what you mean, and actually, it's interesting you say that because like Spike Lee was taught by Martin Scorsese, so you can see a lot of Scorsese-isms in Malcolm X. Like you can see the freeze frames and the kind of the flair. It's there. So in a way, it's like a weird like child of the teachings of Scorsese in a way.
Yes.
But I also see what you mean because yeah.
Yeah, but something that I realized like last fall. Wait, you seen The Godfather, right? Like, I mean, yeah, we all have, right? Okay, the scene where like they go and spoilers for anyone, but like it's the scene where they go and try to kill Marlon Brando is cut almost exactly the way when they go and kill Malcolm X. Spoilers, Malcolm X. They kill Malcolm X at the end. So yeah.
What? I thought Malcolm X was still alive today.
Yeah, but yeah. And
What?
so
Does Gandhi die at the end too?
Does what?
And I was gonna say, does Gandhi die in the end as well? Let's move on.
Okay.
What? No,
Yeah.
he was here at Christmas. Wasn't that Gandhi?
Sat in Gandhi's lap and he asked me what I wanted for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
St. Jon.
like he
St.
comes
Jon.
every year.
St. Jon, I hate to break it to you, bro, but I think that was Ben Kingsley. It's okay, we all get it mixed up, but yeah.
What?
Ben Kingsley
I
with
know,
a bald cap and no. But yeah,
So Daniel, yeah.
Yeah, I have because of Malcolm X, like, and like knowing that, it just enriched like my interest in like, and not only like filmmakers who make good films, and you know, like, and people, and that's up for debate, you know, but like filmmakers who like honor film history and film lineage, you know. Like to cut that, and like he's done a bunch of other things too. I know Ernest Dickerson has made some statements that he wanted to give the film 5 moods. Like early in the movie, he wanted to give the film like the feel and look. Well, if you can interpret the look as that, as as a classic, as golden age Hollywood and like musicals and whatever. You know, that's
He succeeded. I mean, it completely. The opening crane shot alone. I mean, you feel.
Yeah, for real. And then at the end, to chop it up like that, like The Godfather. I just, the feet slowing down to get ready to aim. Shots of the gun, shots of Marlon Brando's face and Malcolm X's face right before they get blickied.
Oh yeah.
And then they finally get blickied, and it's from high up above. And so it's I just think it's masterful, and I'm glad that Spike Lee is he's a man that honors the lineage of film history. And so
it's ingrained in the DNA of his filmmaking. Is you clearly see this is a filmmaker that honors his, like you said, his lineage and where he comes from, but also like the cinema that came before him, and that was a great influence on his era. Because Spike Lee's like that middle filmmaker. He's not quite old enough to be sort of in the movie brats, but he's not quite young enough to be sort of in that 90s sort of boom. He's a filmmaker of the 80s in a way, very much. And so I think he does a beautiful job attributing. I like Scorsese, Coppola. I'll add this to what you said. It was like, how genius was it to use "Change Gonna Come" as the part for that sequence, like that song. It's perfect. Like, it's the Sam Cooke song. It's so well timed, man. It's crazy.
And speaking of filmmakers and influences, was someone gonna say something? Was someone gonna say something?
No. I think I was pretty much. I think one thing I'll say really quick as well is I feel like that's one of those few films where, because the ending montage, let's say, of that film is the actual funeral, the eulogy that they gave, right? It's for Malcolm X. It's one of those few films that I wanted to stand up and actually say I am Malcolm X, because they at the end, I actually felt like doing that. It really speaks to the power of how he's able to use archival footage. Like, he really knows how to make you just feel this sudden rush of exhilaration. Spike Lee. Anyway, you were gonna say, man. What were you gonna say?
Well, I think I was gonna say to Toby that this sounds a lot like a filmmaker. It sounds like us talking about a filmmaker and his influences. Toby.
Hello.
Yes.
Did you catch that, Toby?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted a dramatic pause.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Definitely feel that that like it's about a filmmaker and his influences, and maybe it'd be a fun topic that we talk about how kind of the filmmaking style influences us, how they kind of shape our
Nice save,
art.
Toby.
Yeah.
We were talking about
There
this
you go.
earlier, Daniel, but kind of you're more you're sculpting it by chiseling out of marble rather than sculpting it out of clay. You're like finding the film.
I was saying that the term was what we talked about, like when we talked on, I think it was Monday. Like I was referring to it as like it's the difference between sculpting and molding, and sculpting is like you're finding what the movie is in like in the mess of reality as you're shooting it and crap, and then you're editing it. You're finding the movie,
and pre-production.
Of course, important. And but in molding is just like you chisel out like the inverse of what the sculpture will be, and then you fill it up with like clay or plastic, whatever, and then you take it out, and you can do it over and over again as many times. It's templative, it's not creative, and so that's the difference between sculpting and molding. And I think like we were just talking about Spike Lee. Yeah, Spike Lee and Scorsese. I think they're one of the greatest sculptors in cinema. Yeah, in addition to many others, but those are the ones that we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
true.
I think Fareed, that you'd agree with me that it's much better the way where you're discovering what the film is through the experience. You're slowly realizing, oh, this is the way we're going, and you kind of play with those happy accidents, as one of our past guests said, rather than having like a pre-production shot list or a floor plan and being like, this is what we do, this is what we're doing, and then just do that for the entire day. That's not really experiencing the filmmaking process, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion.
I think that how it pertains to, like, let's say the directors that we've just talked about, like Spike Lee and Scorsese. I think that one of the great I guess what I'll say is one of the things that they do so well is they're able to kind of hide the looseness of their process by just how kind of seamless their films feel when you watch them. You know what I mean? Like, there are entire chunks of The Irishman, like that entire thing in The Irishman when he's saying, when they're talking about traffic, you know what I'm talking about, right? When they're like, oh, traffic, traffic, yeah, 2.5, 12 minutes, no, I say 10, no, 15, you know, that whole thing. That was mostly improvised, based off of Steve Zalian's script. And yet when it plays, there's just the fluidity of that scene is, I mean, Thelma Schoonmaker, God bless her, it's like they're able to really make it feel like like the experience was, it's never just sudden, you know, it's like everything is just laid out the way it should. It's like ironing a t-shirt, it's just so precise. So yeah, that's I guess that's how I'd add that to what those filmmakers do. And I agree with you. I think that you have to,
as Robert McKee would say, like that's kind of, you got to master that form, that technique, before you think that just your story is going to work.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of work.
That's true.
And time.
Yeah.
They're masters at it.
Mm-hmm. I actually want to turn this over to St Jon. Actually, I have a question for you, man. Yes, sir. I have a question. So all this talk about like the sculpting and the molding in the cinematic arts and such, and also kind of how that links the process behind those films, like how you like when you're dealing with something like Topographical Gang, right? Like your street gang that's wanted by the police. No, okay, your YouTube channel. What I wonder, because you guys, I know you improvise a lot. I know there's a lot of improvising. I know that there's some kind of concept that's a backbone to that, to like the improv. So when you're improving, you're in that safety net of this is our piece, right? This is our story. I wonder, like, if now at this point, after all the skits you've done, you feel like because I know there are different writers for each skit, but generally speaking, like the tone that you guys have, like the distinct tone that you guys have, like you just automatically feel like on set when you improvise under that tone. You know, you're not veering to something that's off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I feel like
are you at that point
we
now?
all kind of like really know like each other's style, I would say. And like after having like a bond of like making stuff for about a year and a half, like every week, I'd say it's like we all know like how much is like the acceptable length to go whenever you improvise for somebody's like script.
Yeah, just the right degree before it starts to kind of You ever had a situation where you kind of over improvised and like anything showed up where you were like, oh man, I think maybe I took it too far. You gotta dial it back.
No,
happens to me all.
Let's see. There's probably some instances. Oh man, there's. Oh boy, I don't know. There's a sketch that we filmed a long time ago, never released on the channel, called Volleyball.
Oh,
yeah, no,
oh,
it was
oh man,
it was going to be like our third or fourth ever video, and we decided not to use it, and I'm glad that we didn't, because we would not have the success that we had if that thing was on our channel. And we actually uploaded it a day for an April Fool's prank, and all of the comments were like, what is this, what are you doing? And so then we took it down after. But yeah, it was just like a case of like we wanted to like film something, you know, but like we didn't know what, and because we didn't know what we were going to film, it ended up just being an absolute mess.
Yeah, dude, to be honest, like, you say that, man, and I'll tell you, I've been in situations where there's like a lot of money on the line, and I'm on a shoot, and I'm meant to be directing something, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Like, which is not an uncommon feeling. Like, a lot of directors, you know, kind of, it's like the cool thing to say in like a director's panel. Like, if you're at Cannes, and you got like all these guys sitting around, or the Hollywood Reporter, there's always one dude who's like, do you ever feel like you're not quite sure on set? And everyone's like, oh yeah, dude, I totally, but no, I was genuinely clueless. You know, it's not even in like that artsy way where you're like, yeah, I'm organically discovering my movie, bro. It's like, no, what the hell is a script? What does scenes mean? Like, it was like lost. Mainly because in my situation, I was dealing with a screenplay that I was given that I didn't quite know what to interpret. I had very little time to prep, and then on top of that, I didn't really understand the mechanisms of it that well. So when we got to the shoot, I was winging it completely, and really trying to hide the fact that I was winging it, you know, by working out and hitting the gym and wearing cool-looking shirts. We shouldn't talk about that. But the point is, I wanted to impose. Okay, I'm just kidding. Sort of. Not.
Pixar didn't happen.
I wanted. Exactly.
This was a different time, kids.
This is
when Freed used to work out.
Right, in a galaxy so far away that it's kind of indiscernible to the human eye, or to a telescope. So I basically, had that experience with money, so it was really daunting. And so I kind of learned it the hard way of like being quite sure of what you're getting into before you shoot anything. Yeah, that's something that The good thing was, at least on that shoot, there was some pretty cool catering, so that helped. I was like, I'm gonna grab a couple of nachos and some garlic
Food is
bread,
very
and
underrated on
the whole
film
day,
sets.
Gotta say.
Yeah, it's like
It's underrated in life, bro. Like, I mean, okay.
I will say that watching Topographical Gang work, they're very much influenced by what they're interested in, and it's cool to see how it comes out of that. Like I remember when St. Jon told me when he watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World for the first time, which is now his favorite movie, he said, "Daniel, I think this is my favorite movie." And since then, I've always seen much of what St. John's work is it's a good they're good appendixes to the world of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or anything else that's like Edgar Wrighty, or Edgar Wright, and so it's really
Edgar Wrighty, Lefty
Edgar Lefty, yeah.
Edgar
Yeah.
Lefty.
Yeah, that's his the half brother that they keep in the basement because he's got some learning issues and they don't get him out. That's Lefty and
the W is still in front of the
He's
L.
the evil twin.
The W is yeah.
Yeah, Edgar Wright's brother is
Waluigi.
Waluigi.
And
We
Yeah.
This
we've
explains
cracked the
so
case.
much.
That's
and
fantastic.
speaking about the cluelessness that Fareed was talking about, I try to make tricks. I try to make some movies with my non-film friends, and it's always. It's usually not Nightmare, but it can give you a good impression of what a nightmare could be. But you see, everyone starts to think that that making a movie is a fully collaborative effort. What if you guys know in film school, there's always going to be kids who are probably in the major, or probably but more likely not in the major. They're like, what if we did that, and then it just kind of no. Cool suggestion, but let me do what I gotta do. You see, and what I like seeing in Topographical Gang is that whoever's the director for even a bit of a bit compilation, a 20-second bit or a full sketch, that person is usually respected as a director. The suggestions will be popcorned, but never heavily suggested. What if you do that? I don't hear any of that. And so they usually it's.
I have a really good story to add to that. It's not about Topographical Gang, but my own experience. So Fareed knows that in my film, my dad played a character who only had one line. He played a drunk man. And
it's kind of scary to say that my dad played a drunk. But yeah, go on.
In the film, it's actually because the original we couldn't get any other actors to come in for 2 days. Just to say one line, because he would have to be there the entire time, asleep at the bar.
Yeah.
But at one point, and I love my dad, I love him so much. We have a great relationship. But
shout out to Toby's dad. I love you, Mr. Masanti.
And he knows we've talked about this. But at one point, I was giving notes to the character, the main character, the lead actress, the lead, if you will, who is an actress. Yeah. I got stuck in my own train of thought. Anyways, I was giving notes to the lead actress, and I don't remember what I said, and I know my dad was just trying to help, but he said, I don't think that's right. I think she was doing good the way she did. And you can imagine the tough rock and a hard place I was in between, because on the one hand, he's my dad, I love him, he's doing me this favor, he's helping me make this film. On the other hand, as a director, I need to establish that my word is law, and that no one can just come in and say what they like to the actors. The actors look to me. They don't look to anyone else. And so my dad says, I don't think she should do that. I think she's fine. And I said, well, thank you for your opinion. And then I immediately just turned back to the actress, completely... Yeah. It was a bit cruel. Is it though?
Is it though? I mean, the thing is, your father was effectively an actor on that shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and and I talked to him before. I was like, hey, I'll be a director. I know we're like father and son, but I'm a director on this shoot, and to me, you're going to be an actor. And so people are going to treat you a little different because you're my dad and stuff, but I can't have any special treatment or like act
You
different.
hear that,
No,
Toby's
if it was
dad?
any other
You hear that,
actor-
Toby's dad? You better you're gonna let your son do that to you, Mr. Musanti? Huh? You're
Boxing
gonna
match. Settle it in
No,
the
no,
ring.
no, please, no.
What? Turn
Yeah.
this into Rocky 5. Okay,
All right.
let me say this. Okay, look. I do
Some
think you
relationship
bring
is
up something
rocky. I'm kidding.
It was just one of those moments. And on the train ride home, he was like, "So today," and we talked about it, and he completely understood. And he said, "You know what? I was out of line for that." But it was this. It's hilarious now in retrospect, but in that moment, I was like, "Okay, this is
Yeah.
oh boy, this is." Either I lose or I lose, but let's make the film good.
No, I think I got a better story in which, like, one of the early sketches of
Oh my
Topographical
goodness.
Gang, and
Yeah,
it was,
I think we talked
you know
about
which one I'm
it
talking
on the,
about?
On the all the way back in episode 3, 4.
Wait, which one? Wait, which story do you think I'm gonna
the
say?
streets. Yeah.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
but that is definitely
then I'm
a
not gonna tell
very
a story then.
egregious
Uh,
example.
Yeah.
if
Yeah. Wait. Can you?
Was the guy,
yeah, just
about
like
the
this
guy
guy
who
was
came
who
and
might have
just started
he might have been
watching for a
homeless. I
while?
don't know. He looked like he was just kind of bumming around, just chilling.
Yeah, and
And he was giving you guys
Yeah, no, he's like
recommendations.
standing
Yeah,
over Augusto's
exactly.
shoulder being
What
like,
the heck?
"Ooh, what if you do that? Oh, the light's in frame." And Augusto's like, "Dude!" And then
Yeah.
and also you guys didn't have any shirts on, right? You were shirtless, so they had to see you shirtless.
Hey,
No, that was on a
Yeah.
different
I
day.
don't
I
mind
think.
I don't mind whoever sees me.
Yeah,
That was a different day.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I remember,
ain't
like,
you a doll?
Everyone should see St Jon shirtless at least once. You know what? I'm gonna put a card at this point
Yeah,
in the
and then
video.
you can hear my
Please
wonderful
watch The
Spanish.
Streets if you haven't yet.
Yeah,
they call me
yeah.
the
Are
Pillsbury
you sure
Doughboy.
what are they?
No, they don't.
Oh wow. Yeah, well, I can attest to that though.
He's too sweet.
Yeah. Are you sure you guys aren't part of like an actual gang? Like, oh, our street is called the Streets, and we're a topographical gang. It's like all the wordplay you're using here. It's like, no, these guys have got Glocks
Yeah,
on
no,
them.
we-
Just watch out.
Rugers, but okay.
I'd say it's more of a cult than a gang.
Anyway.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay.
you know,
okay.
cult doesn't flow as
Topographical
well.
gang cult. I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. What happened? Everyone there?
Hey.
What
I was
was
just-
that eerie silence of despair that just overtook us?
That was
What was
strange.
Yeah.
what was that about?
I told you there was a cult.
See,
Okay, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I actually will. Okay, I'm gonna slightly segue and shift a little because Toby, what you mentioned about the actor kind of taking over the shoot. Now, we've had a look. We've talked a lot about like filmmakers and their process and select films. It should also be noted that for some of these directors we just talked about, like their great wars take place in terms of for creative control, because these like Scorsese and Spike Lee have Final Cut. You know, a lot of these directors have Final Cut most of the time.
Yep.
So the only time they can really have creative freedom issues is when I don't know, Adam Driver is like, I'm not sure I feel about this the way you do, and then they have a discussion. But in the case of Scorsese, he gets what he wants because he's Martin Scorsese, the director of Iron Man 2. But if you're making a... Did anyone catch that? I think I just, like,
I know you were
Yeah.
wrong, but I was confused. I thought you were going to explain it.
I think that the gods of cinema are about to like bring me to their like for judgment, like what was that? No, but I think it was,
Not even the first Iron Man or
no,
Avengers Endgame.
I
Iron Man 2.
I deliberately chose like a weirdly mediocre, like forgettable one. Not even a bad one. Just like what was that? Anyway,
Yeah.
What's wrong with
yeah,
Iron Man
like,
2,
It was
huh?
rushed. It wasn't Jon Favreau's fault.
It's all Jon Favreau's fault. Yeah, goddamn
It
it.
was not Jon Favreau's fault.
Oh, it wasn't. Are we talking about the Lion King?
It wasn't.
Okay. So
Final
That
cut. We're
was his
talking about
fault.
Final
That was
Cut.
his fault. Final Cut. Well, in the case of like, have you seen American History X, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah, great example. That is not Tony Kaye's film. The director of that film, it's not his film.
I've heard,
it's Edward
yeah.
Norton's film. He stole that movie from him. And look, Edward Norton's got a reputation for being difficult to work with. Like, he literally rewrote The Incredible Hulk. You would think the whole movie. Yeah, he rewrote Zach Penn, the writer, I think. He wrote the script. Edward Norton took the script, completely redrafted it as a shot, and literally it's like he wasn't credited, but he wrote the movie. And then he...
So disrespectful to Kubrick, who was directing, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kevin Feige fired both Kubrick and Edward Norton because they were like, I can't take this anymore. Kubrick went on to make Eyes Wide Shut, Edward Norton, Birdman, so it worked out. Anyway, the thing is, that's a good example of like a director who like makes a great film, but then loses it, you know, and it's like the most tragic experience, you know.
I think the best example so far is Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, but do you think he made a great film though? Do you think what he shot was good? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard. Sure. I've heard too many things from like so many like people working on that movie. Like, there's a great cut hidden somewhere. There was a great cut hidden somewhere. You know, and you know what? I think I would bet that there was a good cut hanging around somewhere. But you see, like I know you in like 2 episodes ago you mentioned Capone, and if Josh Trank had final cut on Capone, and you know what, I enjoy Capone for what it is, but if that was his final cut movie, like then what was it? Then what would the final cut for Fantastic Four be like? Now that he's like grown and matured since Fantastic Four, you know, so it's got to be something it has to be something more immature than what we got from Capone, and we don't know, and a lot of people really don't know if Capone is like a whole movie, you know, and
yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
But since we're talking about influences, I will say that if you like David Lynch, like Capone is very Lynchian. I will say that.
It is. I mean, there's an entire sequence in there that literally, and you know what I'm talking about. The whole,
yep.
Yeah, it's. But dude, I mean, here's the thing about Capone. I feel like it's the film that didn't earn the surrealism it was going for because it kind of broke its own rules.
Yep.
Like what they were doing with, because there was a certain character, and I know you know this. The way he was introduced, it feels like it's a scene from another location, and he's doing it's a phone call. He's answering a phone, and then later on we learn something about that character that it's like, wait, then did he dream up that? Did he then? You know, it just it doesn't quite align itself with the rules of its own universe, and I think it's also kind of aimless to a fault. Like I like that it was so bonkers. You know what I mean? I liked that it was so adamant in being like a big FU to convention, to an almost drastic degree, because it's about like a notorious gangster. You could do like an incredibly entertaining like what Gangster Squad wanted to be, he could have done. You know what I mean? Like this crazy
for sure
genre film. But instead, he just made like a stay-at-home movie where the guy shoots himself a few times and mumbles. I mean,
I will say,
and you really did.
I will
sell
say that like
spoilers.
Yeah, I will say that like some Malick movies are like the late Malick movies. What is that?
Oh, you mean the which one do you mean the?
The Meow or something, whatever that was.
Oh, you heard a door? Yeah, that was just I think my grandma and the others. My grandma. She's getting some stuff from the fridge.
Oh, okay. Man, you need to grease your fridge.
Well, tell her no.
Oh no.
On the other side.
I will say.
Tell her to go back to bed. It's late.
Yeah. Dude, actually, she has a thing where she you know, actually, this is kind of true. She sneaks in the middle of the night and gets food from the fridge. It's kind of like it's a little bit like you wake up and 2 a.m. and you just notice her saying, what's happening? It's
a late night it's a midnight snack. What are you freaking out about?
I know it's a midnight snack, but it's kind of adorable.
Like do your parents like if they hear like a creak, like they just stop breathing in their sleep? Like, have you ever like passed by have you ever passed by like your parents' room like at night and then just to like get like a cup of water and then you just hear like the rhythmic breathing just like stop and you're like, I'm just getting water, you know?
Dude, I've heard creepier stuff. Like, man, honestly, because I used to wake up. I'm a pretty big night owl, so I'd wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and I'd go and get water. I'd go and get this, and I would like sometimes hear whispering like just out of nowhere, like that, and I'm just like it's literally like The Conjuring or something. Well, what the fuck is going on? And then the thing is, my mom liked to do her like meditation sometimes at night. You know what I mean? And part of that meant she would do some chanting, like very quiet, whispery chanting, of like a yoga thing. And I didn't know that at the time. So I must have been like 14 or 15, and I'm going down this corridor. It's like The Shining, bro. I'm like going down this corridor, trying to get my water. I half expected to like come play with us, Danny. I was expecting that to happen,
Come play
I'm
with
going
us
back.
for Reed. No.
Dude, I passed by the door and I just hear like that, and I just stopped in my tracks and I just turned, and then I just did like one big knock, and then there was like an eerie pause. The knock kind of echoed across the court. It's just the worst. Like, and then the door just creaked open, and my mom was like half asleep and like super exhausted looking, and her shawl was all over her face and like hair was all over her head, and I was like ready to shit myself, you know, and my mom was like, "Can't you see I'm meditating?" And I was like, "Bah!" And I just ran away.
No, and then your mom, and then afterwards, your mom was gonna say like, "I was gonna tell you all about like mom, what I did in Narnia today,
and then
or
she
whatever."
ran into the camera and put her face in it for a jump scare.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And then it cuts to the audience watching the film being
Directed
made
by David Lynch. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
man.
about Capone, like my Letterboxd review for Capone, I said a deeply personal story of a man who once had the world at his feet, but now long forgotten, surrounded by those either hounding him for his prior success or just don't give a rip about him anymore. His name, Josh Trank. You know, and so, yeah,
Taking notes.
That
And
sells it
so,
a little
yeah,
more than
for sure.
man
And,
who bumbles around and craps himself.
Yeah.
See, I don't know about that. I think both of them have their place.
Man Who Bumbles Around and
No,
Craps
like-
Himself is a
like-
beautiful film.
Like
How
I know
dare
Josh
you?
Trank, like he has like final.
It is a magnum opus, if you
Like
will.
I know Josh Trank has like final cut on Capone or whatever, and so like he said, I made the movie that I wanted to make.
He cut the film.
Yeah,
He cut the film. Like
yeah.
he edited the film. So yeah.
Yeah, I just okay, since it's his movie, and I think I will say that he thinks that he is sincere, and like in being what the movie is, but I just I don't know if because like the movie's like it's after Fantastic Four, you know, it's clearly about him, you know, he feels he's like Capone, like Al Capone in this movie is very much a spiritual avatar to what Josh Trank is, like right now, you know, like for what we know about Josh Trank.
I completely agree.
But my problem with Capone is that I don't know if that sincerity is like he probably thinks he's sincere, but I don't. Can he relate his like 30-something-year-old filmmaking prodigy self to an old man who has gone through like so much pain, hardship, and and ultimate dementia and self-shitting, you know, like. And now that I'm looking at like this list that Toby made up or whatever, and I know one of our talking points is sincerity in filmmaking, you know, and I just don't know if I am on the boat with what Capone is. I like it for what it is, but I just don't know if it's, you know, I don't know if I'm reading.
It's basically, yeah, dude, to your point, like, I see exactly what you're saying, man. I mean, I understand not being fully on the boat for that film. I think what you're saying is accurate in that it's like Capone is a spiritual avatar for Trank, and kind of a manifestation for kind of the combination of sickness and cynicism and outcastingness, if that's not even a word, that he got after Fantastic Four, or Fantastic, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, that said, I think what Capone represents, and I didn't like the film, but I will say it feels deliberately a bit exaggerated, like to the point of like he wants the audience to feel as nasty as he feels. You know what I mean? Like he wants the audience to feel like Tom Hardy, even his performance, like
yeah,
that's how he sounds. You know, it's like he sounds like a guy taking a shit. You know, so like
Does he play a zombie?
no, but it's close, bro. You have no literally like a normal person like in the movie is like, you know, so you know, Mr. Capone, you know, what are we gonna do about those guys who want the money, you know, that, and then Tom Hardy's literally like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I got the money. Like he sounds like Lil Wayne, you know, like so. Yeah, man. I'm sorry, that must have been a painful impression. But like, it's literally a guy that sounds like you said, Toby, a zombie. And I think it's so extreme that to me it's like almost Trank being like, you see what I went through? Bitch, you see what I endured, you see what I had to go, and he's just like letting it all out. That act of cinematic therapy is for me a good thing for the best audience for that is the director and not really anyone else.
Yeah,
and
for
I think
sure.
It's like it's like that kind of film in disguise, basically. Like my short film, my remake of Dark Knight Rises, basically is what he did. Like he made a therapeutic thing for himself but
No.
then made it in.
He makes it that both boats blow up. I don't know why he did that.
No, that's the Dark Knight. That's the Dark Knight.
No,
The Dark
I
Knight Rises is,
Oh,
is-
sorry.
I think COVID was on Josh Trank's side here because I don't think anyone would have seen it if it got wide release or even.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But actually,
Like there were a bunch of articles saying like Josh Trank's return to form and stuff, and then like the film actually comes out and people are like, oh, it's not that great.
Yeah.
But there were so many articles about it. I think it was more the COVID thing, and they just wanted to go that angle of he's coming back to Hollywood after his failure with Fan Four Stick. He's having his return to grace.
Return to
and it's
fantastic
like,
form.
No, that's not the story.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
oh, that's a good one.
But Fareed,
man.
would you say that
Yes.
would you say that probably Knight of Cups, as like aimless as like we have said before, like would you say Knight of Cups probably has like more sincerity and direction? Not like not like director's direction, but linear direction as Knight of Cups is probably like more than Capone. You know, and it earns that because of the sincerity. For what I would consider to be like true sincerity.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. I think that's what I kind of prefaced talking about Knight of Cups by saying that those are highly personal films, and they do feel like they come from a place. You know what I mean? That's genuine. I think and I think that extends to just Malick beyond even his early work. Like it feels incredibly like genuine. It feels like it comes from a place that's free of pretense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and good or bad, like flawed or not. You know, like. It is ultimately a work that is entirely of its own and can only exist out of a very genuine place. So that's why it's interesting because I was going to ask you, all of you guys, this, which is films that you don't really like but respect. Like you respect the fact that they're out there. You respect the fact that they were made the way they were, even if you can't get onto them.
Eraserhead.
Knight of Cups is really Eraserhead. Okay, well,
Yeah.
Knight of Cups is a good one for I'd say, but I have more to give. But elaborate, please, on that.
On Eraserhead, I just it simply because it just doesn't vibe with me. Like, you know, like movies, like, you know, like I like to look at movies as food sometimes, you know when you don't like it when you taste it, you know? But I know my friend, he tried to rehab himself, like he wanted to get into unsweet tea, you know, in Texas, you know, we got sweet tea and unsweet tea. I don't know what it's like anywhere else. And so he was trying to get off sweet tea because like he just didn't, he was trying to cut down on sweets. And so he just stopped drinking sweet tea for a while and then got used to unsweet tea. Maybe I just need to watch Eraserhead more, or maybe I just need to watch Twin Peaks or something like that, just to get into David Lynch. But David Lynch is one of those ones that it's not a good taste in my mouth. But I respect it for what it is, and I respect like his courage. Yeah.
Absolutely, no, that's a great choice, and he is one of those directors where, and it's I'm with you. I mean, I love Eraserhead obviously, but I totally see your point. But I'm gonna move this over to St Jon and Toby. Like St Jon, let's start with you, man. What's a film that you kind of you don't really get on board with it, but you respect it, like you admire it?
Don't get too mad at me, but there's kind of like a director that embodies it for me.
No, that's fine.
And yep.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah. So like I
Really?
just like I've only now to be fair I've only seen like There Will Be Blood and The Master, which probably aren't like representative as like of his work as a whole, but like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights and
but
Punch
like-
Drunk Love. That's what you need to have.
Yeah. But that being said, that's kind of where he is now in a way. Like There Will Be Blood, The Master, sort of where he's heading. So you are kind of addressing.
Yeah,
his
it's just
contemporary
like
self.
it's
So
just
anyway,
like his
continue.
films.
You
Like
were saying,
technique
how does
is
that-
flawless, characters are great. Like there's very clear like thematic imagery and stuff. But it's just like it's really hard for me to like connect with his films. That's like I that's why I didn't really like The Master a whole lot. Is because like it was fantastic. There's like so many shots that stick out in my mind. It's like I can clearly see like a like sense of direction and stuff, but like I just couldn't connect with anybody in the film at all.
Yeah. Oh no, I get you, man. I mean, the thing is, There Will Be Blood and The Master are his two coldest films. I think they're the two of his films that invite the most kind of cryptic interpretation. You know, I think the warmer, like his earlier, younger self was a lot warmer and fuzzier, like a lot more, I guess, grounded, and he became more of an intellectual post-Punch Drunk Love. So that's actually something I agree with you on. Again, I interpret that as like I'm all for that. Like I love that coldness, but I do understand that it's not necessarily for everyone. You know, there is a certain distance to his newer work that I can't, even Phantom Thread, that I can't really deny. It's there.
I would also say in
that's a
a
good pick,
more
man.
recent example, there's I know that there was a lot of controversy around the movie, and do you remember Waves?
Mm-hmm. Joker.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, of course, man.
I know that Daniel.
I'm not.
Daniel
I didn't like
loves
Waves.
the
I didn't
movie.
like Waves, bro.
What the
Daniel
heck,
absolutely
man?
loves it,
Whatever.
but like,
Yeah.
it-
Yeah,
there's-
I love
Oh,
it.
yeah?
Yeah,
Mm.
I'd say that. I say that Waves is it's the Generation Z or maybe millennial. Like
Millennial for sure.
No, it's the Generation Z or millennial version. I don't think maybe a version or maybe but it's like that. It's like this generation's
yeah, it's
tree of
just
life,
like,
in my
it
opinion.
kind of I have like kind of the same issue with it.
Huh.
It's like it's like, yeah, 5 stars. I can see what he's doing. I love what he's doing, but at the same time, it's just like depressing, you know? It's like, I love it whenever like a filmmaker can like just like whenever I want to see a movie, I just want to feel something. Like if you can make me feel something as a filmmaker, then I'll feel like you'll have succeeded on like some level at least. If you make me feel what you want me to feel at least. But
For sure.
like it's just like whenever films leave me like really like sad or like just really like depressed or like the Safdie brothers too. I would say I saw Good Time and Uncut Gems, and like after I watched those,
Oh,
I was
really?
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like that was fantastic, but I don't think I liked it.
Yeah, those are.
Mm.
Well, I mean that's understandable with the softies. I mean, circling back. I mean, I agree about Waves. Actually, for me, it wasn't the depressing element. I think Waves was a little bit excessive for me. That was the only thing. I mean, I understood the soundtrack, like the Kanye. Like I understand the family dynamics. I understand the camera work in that film is insane. The technical aspects of that film are insane. I don't want to give it away, but the final shot of the film is very resonating to me. It's really beautiful. And I love Sterling K. Brown. It's got great stuff, but I just felt like it was kind of like Tree of Life. Interestingly, I see the Tree of Life comparison because that's another example of a film that has so much on the table. It brings so much of itself to the audience.
Well, the director was an intern for Terrence Malick, right?
Yeah, I know. Trey Edward Schultz. Didn't he work with him on To the Wonder, like as a I don't know what capacity, but
I think he loaded film for the universe stuff for Tree of Life.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you see his other movies? Did you see Krisha and It Comes at Night? Did you see those two?
I've seen
He's got
Krisha, but I haven't seen him. It Comes at Night.
Krisha's fantastic. I love Krisha.
I love Krisha. Yeah.
That's great. It's kind of what I want to do actually. Just as a quick note of like what my first movie would look like. I think it's a very economic thing what he did, like shooting with his own family, and in a one location, 185-1. Really smart choice. But yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Yeah, so it was Waves then. Toby, what about you, man? What's your film that you respect but can't get to love?
I don't think I really have one.
All right, bye everybody.
Wow, really?
I mean, I don't know. We both know there's that one movie, which we're not going to say because people would crucify me in the comments section, which I'm like, yeah, it's good. I just don't get the love, but...
No, I know what you're
that's
talking
exactly
about,
the
and
question.
you know what? I think I
But
side
that's
with it.
I mean,
I think I side with you, Toby, kind of.
Then
Can you throw out a
we
hint
all know
for
what
the
that
audience?
movie is, but I'm not going to say what it is. No.
I mean, dude, what? I mean, to me,
That's not how secrets work.
what's the harm though? Like, I think it's okay to have your opinion, man. As long as you like state your case, I don't think you'll be crucified.
All right, I didn't get Taxi Driver. Like, it's fine. It's a nice movie. It just like, it's comes and goes, and I'm like, okay,
No,
yeah,
that-
but
like,
why does everyone? Love
That
it
was
so
my
much?
first viewing of Taxi Driver. It took me about like my third viewing. No, my fourth viewing. I'm sorry. It took me about my fourth viewing for me to be like, I get it, because I watched it in like in like 7th grade for the first time, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then as I've grown older and lived some, and I'm not gonna tell you everything.
Yeah.
But I started to get it, and but it just something just didn't ring right with me about Taxi Driver, and then just finding that's a sad world that Taxi Driver presents. And then one day I was riding the bus to work, like last summer, And then for some reason I thought about Megamind. And you know what? The more I thought about Megamind and thinking about Taxi Driver at the same time too, I was like, and I think we said this earlier about like I think Megamind and Taxi Driver would do well, do super awesome as a double feature. And so, and like bringing up sincerity like before, I think both these films are truly sincere in what they're saying, and it's about people who don't, people who are just unfortunately unnecessary in the world that they live in. Nobody needs Travis Bickle, and nobody needs Megamind, and nobody needs Hal for Megamind either. You know?
Well, they both have to kind of insinuate their own kind of contribution. You know, they both have to really, you know what I mean? Whether it be a presidential candidate or Brad Pitt's superhero. You know, they have that parallel.
And you see, if I can't contribute anything good, like these are Megamind, Hal, and Travis Bickle and Taxi Driver. If I can't contribute anything good to the world, if no one's paying attention to me, even when I try to contribute something good, I think I have to contribute something bad. Like that's the only way to go for people to notice. So, that's my Taxi Driver bit.
Dude, it's actually it's fucking great because it's such a disconnect. You know, like I think for me, like I think it should always be easy to compare stuff this way. I think there's a weird taboo. I don't know if you guys feel this sometimes, where if for example like compare Raging Bull to Wall-E, you know, okay, I can't really do it. I have to.
Well, let me see. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But see, I understand.
Wall-E to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Now there we go. That you can actually kind of. But the thing is, in the case of like, I understand that there's such a difference, you know, like one's a kid's computer animated film from 2008, one's 1980 classic from Scorsese. The thing is, I think it's okay to compare, like, if there are underlying themes that kind of cross-pollinate between the two films, that kind of have a space where they're kind of doing similar stuff. I think it's a fantastic way to kind of just see how far the reach of cinema can go. You know what I mean? Like you could be in any particular bracket of film style or film approach, and you can still be covering ground in a unique way. I just think that speaks to just how far the reach of cinema is. So I think it's a good thing you brought that up. I think, and I hope people try that. I'm interested if people actually try that. I might even try it actually. see what happens.
While we're on this topic, can I recommend y'all a movie?
Please do.
Yeah.
Sure, please.
All right, this movie is called A Taxi Driver. Yes, it is a 2017 Korean movie, but and it is about a taxi driver. He doesn't spiral into madness, but well, maybe. But it's. I just gotta say, it's a fantastic movie. It stars Song Kang-ho of Parasite fame.
Oh yeah.
And so
Memories of a Murder.
Yep. It's just something that I highly recommend. It's in like my top 10 of all time.
Oh wow. I haven't seen this movie, so
yeah.
Yeah, it's on. I think it's on Hulu.
Okay.
If anyone has Hulu, or if we've all just bowed down to Netflix,
All right.
Just everyone winking. It's like, I guess we'll go legally get Hulu then.
Wink, wink. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna ask a question to you guys. I want to pose because we are entering we're at the 90-minute mark. So for the next maybe 10, 15 or so, I guess I just want to talk a bit about life, to be honest, just like what we've got going on right now and maybe how it links to cinema in some way. I will ask Daniel, I will ask you this, because I have asked St Jon this the last time you were on, but what do you see next for yourself, man? Like, where do you see, because you have, honest to God, you have an incredible kind of very clear appetite for cinema, you know, in your energy and in your taste, so I think it's best be put somewhere. So what do you see as your next step, man?
I'm currently an intern for the Houston Film Critics Society. And before COVID happened, they gave me like a lot of like they gave me like screeners and stuff to like I would go see movies for free, like pre-release. And it was pretty cool. But COVID happened, but you know what? I haven't been able to like get screener links, because screener links is like one-time use. There's no +1, like, you know, for a screener link. And like I haven't been getting those. And I'm just excited to get back to watch movies in the movie theater again. I have some other projects, and St Jon is he's working on several variations of what he wants his senior project to be in the fall, and I would very much like to produce it. So Yeah.
I'll add this. Do you see that, like, okay, so so basically you want to keep pursuing sort of the film watching element.
Yeah.
Obviously that it also involves kind of, because being such an avid watcher of cinema, you can't help but be kind of an observer and a student of cinema too, obviously. And you did go to film school.
Yeah.
And then also helping St Jon with his short.
Yeah.
I guess I'll put it this way: do you see yourself becoming a member of the Critics' Choice or being nominated for a Critics' Choice Award? Like, which one would you prefer? Which one would you take?
Neither. Like
You're a critic who gives yourself the award.
exactly. But no, I'm a member of. I intern for them, but I just really am not. I'm not into criticism. I'm not. Like, and not. I mean, not just talking about like smack about a movie, but like, I mean, I will talk smack if I see the smack worth talking about. So, but
I see.
I'm just like.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, man.
I say my movie opinions for conversations like this and for friends. I don't like broadcasting them. Here, like I guess we all. I talked with this with Toby a little bit. We all know what like the term cultural appropriation is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so like I don't. It seems like any time I feel like I'm talking about well, not just talking about it. Like if I'm writing it, like for a school paper, and it's like all formal, or if I'm giving like an official statement on it, it just sounds like I'm appropriating, like what my opinion is for the movie based on my sparse experiences with what movies are, relatively speaking. Because I know like all the film critics that I'm working for. Like, they've seen a crap ton of stuff, and I feel like their opinion's more valid. But I just feel just a little invalid, standing next to them. And I'm just tired of like you can relate to this too. Like like your film school colleagues and whatever. Like they would probably watch like a video essay, like, and then they already have an opinion about the movie, especially with non-majors too, like, and it just seemed like, like they're always talking about stuff, and they haven't made stuff. I know you've made stuff, Fareed. I know St. Jon makes something every week, or no, like his group is making something every week. And Toby made that awesome short film that I love, I'm comfortable with talking about movies with y'all. But here comes someone who like has an opinion, like, dude, that movie was so bad. I'm just like, do you know anything about making movies, man? Like, and I feel like I might give off that kind of vibe, to me, and I just like I'd rather not. So yeah, but talking with y'all is awesome.
Well, okay, I'll say this, man. So first off, there's an ability in what you're saying. You may notice. Okay, I kept my voice a bit down because I'm in a different room, kind of closer to my folks. But
yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, you can.
Yeah,
hear me okay?
we're good. Yeah.
He's at the footstool of their bed.
Okay. No, okay. So, here's what I think. I think there's a nobility in understanding that when one assesses a quality of a film, when one takes into account the kind of just the nature of filmmaking as an art form, what you have to undergo, what you have to go through, the kind of slings and arrows you have to dodge. It must be said that I really admire that you still acknowledge that when you come to assessing a film, and you know that for very well that there are folks out there who just instantly jump to an opinion that with a crucial lack of awareness of that process, and not just like movie making, but also just like what cinema is. You know what I mean? As in terms of its place in society, in our world. But that being said, man, I think part of what you're saying is a response to kind of what's happened today with the rise of the YouTube essay. You know what I mean? The film essay person. Like the rise of this kind of sudden, like almost like subsidiary of like sudden wannabe film professors who are 21 years old who are teaching us how to make movies based on their opinions, which they themselves have kind of, through like a clever kind of articulation of their words, try to make them sound like they're genuine.
I don't feel like I don't feel like they're my friends. Like. Yeah, I like
exactly,
some of my favorite video essayists. Like some of my favorite video essayists, they feel like my friend because I feel like they're like sharing like a cool fact with me, or a friend like you have a friend, like they would text you like a link to like a funny video, or they send you a meme. I like film. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of lost in criticism. We're like, guys, you what's kind of cool, or what I think was just kind of weird. Here, it's that. But now it's just become like what I think? I think that, because and what validates that stance. It's because they're a living, breathing person with an opinion, and that's
Yeah.
all that validates them. I'm just like, just shut up, you know. And
Dude, I mean, yeah, dude, no, totally. I mean, listen, like, there are people out there who are like, how to write a movie in like this way, how to do it in this way, how to direct it, and I there's something deeply. You talk about sincerity, right? There's something disingenuous about what they're saying. I feel like it's not coming from a personable place. It's coming from a place. It's basically like they're jerking themselves off, basically. Like, look at me and what I'm capable of showing to you, and it's impersonal that way, you know, to me.
Some people love the sound of their own voice.
Yeah, that's it. And I don't know, man. I'm with you on that. And I think that's because, look, I also half humored getting into film criticism, you know, at one point. This is before I was dead set on being a director. I still had like flip-flop. Even now, actually, in this pandemic, I'm doing reviews now on an Instagram page that is linked to RTL Slate show. But and I might even do some articles here and there for magazines, you know, like reviews and such. Even I'm noticing this decline in appreciation of the person, you know, of beyond just showing your skill set and what you're all about. Like, it doesn't feel like it's reciprocated to me. And that's something I'm coming to terms with, I think, in many ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that's precisely a link to what you were saying, but I do see your point very well.
No, you're hitting close. You're hitting close.
Yeah. Still, man. Wow. Okay. See, that's interesting. I never thought we'd bring that up. It's great that you did. But yeah, man. I guess okay. Let's turn things a little to the light side, man. What are your what's your plan for Sunday?
My plans for Sunday? I'm just gonna, man. You know, go to church, worship Jesus. That's a law in Texas. So yeah, here I go.
I see.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go. St Jon, what do you got going on, man? What's Sunday looking like? What are you gonna do?
Oh, it's Father's Day.
It's fun.
That's
oh,
true.
Oh
okay.
man,
Well,
Dad,
first-
I'm going
I'm
to
gonna call my dad.
Oh wow.
No, I actually have an internship with the church, so
Ooh.
I'm running the live stream services,
Nice.
Hey, that's cool.
and then I guess I'm just gonna go back home and sleep because I have to be there at 6:45.
Oh man.
You deserve that. Someone who started having to change their sleep cycle from 11 to 6 in these past 2 weeks. Yes, you deserve a nap right after.
Yeah.
Once you have your dog and he does his business outside and he's tired again and he takes a nap, you deserve that nap.
Yes.
Do you get
thank
Do you get like some pretty crazy dreams because you go back to sleep? Like, does that happen? Because it happens to me.
Dude, I'm actually keeping a dream journal.
Oh my God.
Like the craziest ones are like let's say like you wake up at 7, you're like, I don't want to be up at 7, you go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you like sleep for maybe an hour, but that's when the craziest stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel you. That's why I'm scared to go back to bed sometimes because I think of the weirdest shit, man. So I know, like, I don't want to see that decapitated head talk to me anymore. Mom, please.
Speaking of doing things in the future, like St. Jon, you're not just doing this dream stuff just as a hobby, right?
Hey. Yeah, no. Nice segue. No, this is I'm actually hoping to write a feature about dream related things. So,
Sick.
So if I may give a log line,
Please.
I would say it's about there's a guy who's just kind of like meandering through life, very bored of it, and so to like find some excitement in his life, he tries to make some excitement by attempting to lucid dream. It's kind of more like a throwback to John Hughes high school type stuff, where
Breakfast Club, 16 Candles.
where like a big yearbook club, they lose all the photos right before their yearbook's about to get published, so they have to go back and restage everything that happened in the school year and get pictures of it. And there's actually a lot of heist elements in it as well. So we did our research. We watched we watched the Oceans and 10 Things I Hate About You to get in the mindset.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, and then we spent like a whole semester outlining it. And then I put together our first draft in January, I think. So
Yeah, but then you finished it like right before Valentine's Day. And so
Yeah,
it,
I was really excited about it. I wrote it real fast.
yeah,
But
and so just like yeah, we just gotta like he's just gotta do this to several other drafts, and then you know what, like it's pretty. I've read it, like from what I've been like reading through it, and you know what, there's some magic there. I don't want to like shit on anyone or whatever, but St. John's probably one of the best writers I know. And, yeah,
That's not,
yeah, and
that's
like
not the first time I've heard that. Even,
yeah,
even
and
on
so
our
like
last episode.
yeah, and the math, and so it's just what I see in like the stuff that he's written, especially in this one. There's some magic, and it's in stuff that I've read Aaron Sorkin's stuff, and I don't feel the same way I feel about that. I'll say that.
oh wow,
Yeah, Aaron Sorkin, don't kill me, please.
wow, man.
Dude, well,
That's beautiful.
have you read those Sorkin scripts, man? Those 200 behemoths that like they're something, aren't they?
They go by pretty fast because it's just mostly dialogue,
They
and
do.
so yeah, I mean, yeah.
I read the Steve Jobs one in like literally an hour. I just
Yeah.
went through, just decimated it.
Dude, there's that one line. There's like 3 lines in like the Steve Jobs script that didn't make the movie, and I was so mad when I read it. You know, when they were like comparing him.
I'll tell you.
The piano,
Yeah.
the Beethoven stuff. Oh my gosh, that didn't make the movie. I was like, what the hell?
I know.
And so
I know.
yeah,
I'll tell you there was one line I thought they would cut from the script that they kept in the movie because they acknowledged in the script it didn't make sense, and it felt like such a Sorkin line, but I didn't know if it would make, which was I think it was first class lands on the tarmac the same time as coach. Remember that?
yeah,
When he says that?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
that was one I was like this. That I don't know if that's good, and it's like one of those defining lines of that film. So there were so many lines that I was like, thank God they kept that. I can't quite remember the Beethoven ones though, but I have to reread it and check. But yeah, okay, guys.
Hey, Toby, you got any features in the works?
A couple. Like, a few ideas. I've had this one for a really long time. It's this mockumentary that I hope to make with my friend James sometime. It's about competitive clapping.
Yeah, you pitched me this one.
Oh yeah, I love this one, and I have and I love that idea. I already have like the bullet point of how the story is going to go straightened out. What I now need to do is write it out in that mockumentary platform, so it kind of fits better in that. So it actually feels like, okay, this is a real thing that's happening. It's an actual documentary, even though it's a ridiculous concept. I also have this other one which I'm pretty happy with. The subtext underneath is very personal to me, but it's about this comedian who he does this stand-up bit one day where he's like, my father wasn't around much when I was a kid, and it really hurt me, and he makes it funny, and people love it, and he feels really good about it. The only issue is that's not true at all. His dad is the nicest dude ever. He never walked out on them or anything. He did that for the comedy bit, and then it's like this whole thing which he was like, yeah, but it's for the joke. It doesn't matter. It's like, no, you went on that platform and you told a story and you made it seem as if this was true. Now you got problems, and basically he's trying to figure it out, and the climax of the film is where he's on this talk show, and the talk show host says, we were very sympathetic to your story of your father, so you know what we did? We actually found him. And so he calls his dad, and he asks him to take all the photos of them together and like to hide them or put them in a box or something, and then like the trucks come, they go drive to his father's house because they don't have the father backstage. They go to his house to surprise him. And then his son is the comedian is saying, Dad, you were never there for me, and you walked out, and, you made Mom cry. And meanwhile, it's this guy who's just the nicest dad ever, just listening, like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, son. And, it's a story kind of about truth, and really, like, what's the point of telling
sincerity?
Story?
Sincerity.
Sincerity.
Yeah. No, I dig that, man. I haven't heard that one before. That like,
No, it was
that's
really-
great.
Yeah.
Man,
No,
send us some
he
drafts.
came-
Send us some drafts if you got
And then
some.
the son pulls out a gun and he says, "How about another joke, Dad?"
Oh no.
Yeah, that's how it ends. I wish I could tell you more things I had planned out for it, but I think that'd spoil more than I want.
It'll violate the
No, but dude,
NDA.
that- Yeah.
Yeah, they joined up with the Looney Tunes and they play some basketball.
Oh boy, that's a great. That's for the DVD, man. Just make that an extra. You know, like shoot that anyway. I think it's worth it.
This
all
is
right,
my
man.
real vision.
Yeah. Release the Toby cut. So
Exactly. HBO Max, you know what to do.
no, great.
You got Warner Brothers.
No. All right, guys. Well, listen, we are coming upon the 1 hour 50-minute mark, so I think we're gonna have to
Dang.
call it a night.
Yep.
Just as now, if everyone's kind of okay. All right. Well, first off, I just gotta say, Daniel St Jon, thank you so much for being on our
problem.
show. Like, really, it was a pleasure
Yeah.
to have you guys, and. Really, man, St Jon, like it would be great to have you on more, and Daniel, definitely, man, it'd be great to see you around more on our show, man. It was so fun to talk to you about, just with your energy, and there was so much we could get into, man. So like,
Yeah,
kudos to
so
both of
much
you,
we
man.
did.
Thanks
Oh,
for
dude,
that.
we didn't get to talk about Man of Steel and Malik. Dang it!
Oh, dude.
Another
See,
conversation
that's
for another
what-
time.
that-
Another conversation for another time.
That's what I'm talking. Exactly, but it shall happen. Even though that sounds like a terrifying conversation, I'm sure we'll make it happen. And and yeah, man, I think I'll just end with everybody stay safe, everybody stay strong. Let's brace through these next few months and keep our passions alive, keep our incentives to tell stories strong and to watch films strong. And yeah,
Comment down below
Comment-
what you want to
Yep.
hear us talk about next
Yep.
time. We got an Instagram and Facebook. Follow us on that if you feel keen. And please check out St Jon Topographical Gang. Let's plug. Check out Topographical Gang. They
yeah.
recently did like a shorts compilation, which was hilarious from beginning to end.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
especially check out the video called Inside the Mind during a class presentation, because our very own Daniel directed that. So
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, check it out.
Sweet.
I mean, it's cool. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I gotta go, so let's end this up. So, thank you guys so much, and take care. All right, guys.
Yeah, I love you.